This is the Sony A7S III, and it's completely sold out. Let me explain why. I'm talking about the new Sony A7S III, which is Sony's new flagship model specifically to do with cinematography over photography. It's been long awaited and is the rival to Canon's R5. And it is an absolute powerhouse of a thing. In fact, instead of holding it, let's actually record with it. That sounds like a better idea, doesn't it? Much better. Now we're in full 4K. With my old Canon, I only ever recorded in 1080p, and that was for a few reasons. It did 4K, just, but there was a huge crop in it, so it was like very zoomed in. And on top of that, the autofocus function, which usually worked on 1080, didn't work on 4K. So it was kind of pointless using it, because if my head moves back and forth, I still want it to be fully in focus. And the Sony's focus seems pretty spot on at the best of times. The reason for all this loveliness in this brand new camera is because what I said before, it is their new flagship model. Purely for cinematography. It was so geared towards cinematography that when the A7S III first came out, people asked, why isn't this a cinema camera? Sony obviously listened to them, because a few months later, they took the internals out of this camera, put it in a body with a fan and a couple of ND filters, and made the FX6.
I've heard time and time again, filmmakers want a real honest-to-goodness cinema camera, but with the specs of the A7S III. Give us that mirrorless low-light powerhouse, but put it into a traditional cinema camera body. Well, what if I told you that the FX6 is that camera?
Except the sensor's not quite as good as the one on this one. Go figure. Some of the figures and stats on this camera are completely out of this world. It can record in 422 10 bits, which means you just get a far superior variety of colours that you're able to play with in post. It records 4K at 120 frames a second. If you drop that down to 1080p, it'll do 240 frames a second. What? Which brings me back to the initial point of this video. They're sold out. You can't get them. Believe me, I tried for ages. Watch this.
London Camera Exchange, good afternoon.
Hi there, I'm just wondering if you've got any Sony A7S IIIs in stock.
We haven't at the moment, no.
No, do you know...
We've got them on order, but, you know, I've not got, I'll be totally honest, I've not got a clue when they're coming in.
Really?
I think
like...
anyone who says they have is lying a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's, you know, everything's out of whack, innit? Everything's out of situ.
Well, that's very true, But yeah. No problem. I appreciate your honesty, man.
Yeah, sorry, bud.
No worries. Cheers, have a good one. Bye.
Take care, bye.
I was going to show you a couple of examples, but I think that one wrapped it up perfectly. Well, that brings the next question up. How the hell did I get one? I was calling up every camera shop I could find, not even to buy it, just to find out when it came out. Google stated that it came out in September 2020. Now, whether that's true or not, whether it got delayed, I don't know. I wasn't looking for one until January anyway, so I wasn't particularly paying attention. I called the local camera shops, then I called the shops just outside the city, then I started calling shops in the county, then I started calling shops in the whole country. And it wasn't even to buy one, it was just to find out when the hell they were going to come out. And I kept getting the same reply. We had a batch in, they all sold out, we've been waiting for the second batch ever since, we've no idea when they're coming. Call after call after call after call, I kept getting the same answer. Until finally I called a company I'd never heard of before called PROAV, who are, according to their website, a leading and experienced international supplier of broadcast and professional video equipment based in the UK. Called them and I started getting the same response for the guy. It was a case of, do you know when the A7S III's coming out? No, not really, mate. We had a first batch, but they all pretty much went. We have no idea when the second batch is coming in. No, it's fair enough. I've been hearing the same from pretty much everyone. Yeah, you will be doing, mate. We've only got one left of the original batch. Yeah. What? And here we are. So I've got this camera, which for a while other people won't have, which I think is kind of unfair, because I've only been doing this for almost a year now. I feel like it's pretty wasted on me at the moment. So to make up for that, I'm going to be trying to learn as much as I can and do as much as I can with this camera to improve my abilities, just to make myself feel a bit better because I feel like it's a bit unfair at the moment. When I wanted to upgrade my camera to a better one, I originally wanted to stick with Canon. They released their flagship model roughly about the same time, called the R5, and it has pretty similar specs. I mean, there was one small issue.
Example, if you're shooting a lot of 4K 120, sometimes the camera starts to overheat and it gives you that overheat warning.
And especially overheating.
The overheating. It overheats.
And that put everyone off, including, unfortunately, me. So the switch to Sony has happened, like pretty much everyone else I've seen on YouTube at the moment. Now, the one thing I've been wanting to do with this camera ever since I bought it is test the 120 frame 4K mode. So, you want to see what that looks like? Well, you can't, because I haven't got the correct memory card for it. What I didn't know before buying this camera is FD cards come in different types. There's a little V on the front of it, and it will say V4 or V10 or V20 or whatever. It goes all the way up to 90, and I've got a couple of 30s and a 60, but apparently to use 4K 120 frames a second, you need a V90. So I've got one on order, it's coming tomorrow. So tomorrow, hopefully, I'll be able to test this new crispy 120 frame a second 4K camera to its full ability. This coming week's definitely going to be very exciting. As soon as that memory card comes tomorrow, I am out in the hills. I've still got to learn the back end of it because it's completely different to a Canon. It's got so many more features that I'm used to, so I'm watching all the tutorials, reading every bit about it, just to fully understand this absolute powerhouse that I have in front of me. But I'll keep you updated on my progress, and hopefully from now on, my videos get better and better. And if you are in the market to buy a Sony A7S III in the near future, then